Hello student, in this lecture series I am going to talk about earthworm biology. Our main topic is useful species of earthworms, local and exotic species of earthworms, key to identify species of earthworms. Talking about earthworms, there are about 3000 species of earthworms in the world. Then, in case of India, more than 418 species are found. About 11.1% of global earthworm diversity are found in India. Around 45 exotic worms have been introduced into the India. Eisenia fetida, it is the most common compost worm useful in vermicomposting. We can call Eisenia fetida as a compost worm, manure worm, red worm, and red wiggle. The word exotic means non-native. Non-native we can also call as an alien species, which is not native from our land, which is taken from outside and introduced in our place. Earthworm belong to class Annelida, having segmented body. Order Oligochaeta. If we talk about earthworm characteristics, then earthworm is a macroscopic clitellate oligochaete annelid that live in a soil. Macroscopic means which can see on naked eyes. Clitellate having clitellum on the body segment. Oligochaete annelids. Then they are segmented worms, bilateral symmetrical with an external gland clitellum. Sensory lobe are present in front of mouth, called as a prostomium, then anus at the posterior end. At the posterior end, there are small numbers of bristles present, which we can call as a setae. Then they are hermaphrodite animals, means both the male and female sex organ are present in within one animal, and reproduction normally occurs through copulation and cross fertilization. Cross fertilization means one segment have female gametes, another segment have male gametes, and copulation occur between them. As commonly we can call as earthworm as farmers' friends because of the ability of earthworm to fertilize soil. Earthworm are first group of multicellular eucoelomate having true coelom invertebrate to have succeeded to inhabit terrestrial environment. Showing bilateral symmetry means if you cut an earthworm down the center, you will find that the left and right sides of the body are identical or symmetrical. Locomotion, they crawl using circular and longitudinal muscles which are located under the epidermis. Respiratory system consists of means in case of earthworm, respiratory system is not well developed. Gases exchange through moist skin and capillaries where the oxygen is picked up by hemoglobin dissolved in blood plasma. Carbon dioxide is released. Talking about circulatory system, the circulatory system is fully closed. One large blood vessel runs the length of the body immediately besides gut. Brain and nervous system is actually the brain is a fused pair of nerve ganglia mostly located in the third segments of body and the nerve fibers that runs the length of the body around the gut. Reproductive system, clitellum is most important. The clitellum is a swelling of a skin and can only be seen in earthworms that are ready to reproduce. Most of the material secreted to form earthworm cocoons is produced within the clitellum. Clitellum, this is the black band. This this body segment showing clitellum, a red white color band. If we're talking about species selection of earthworm, then certain categories are taken in considerations. The first characters, that is the worm would be have a short life cycles, means within a year we can take 2-3 cycles of reproduction, then high rate of reproduction and growth to get large worms equal to large number of wormy worms. They should feed voraciously. Voraciously means vigorous feeding, and have high output of worm cast. Then they also showing wide range of feeding, resistance to any kind of disease, and adaptable to climatic changes. So these are certain characteristics which are undertaken when we specify any kind of earthworm species for vermiculture. If we talk about useful species of earthworms, then the most common earthworms in Europe, North America, Western Asia, and many other parts of the world belong to family Lumbricidae, whereas in West Africa, many of the common earthworms belong to family Eudrilidae, and in South Africa, Microchaetidae family of earthworm are found. In Australia and other part of Eastern Asia, the Megascolecidae and the family Glossoscolecidae predominant in Central and South America. In detail, the earthworm fauna of India is well reported as compared to other Asian countries. The most diverse families of earthworm species in India are Megascolecidae, which comprises 157 species, in which 123 are native of 15 genera. Native means which we can call as a local, which is mainly found in particular area. Then Octochaetidae family having 133 species, in which 132 are native and 132 are native of 29 genera. Then talking about Moniligastridae family with 86 species, in which all are native, comprises of 3 genera. Especially diverse earthworm genera of India belongs to Moniligastridae gravida, having 71 species. Then Megascolecidae family, Megascolecidae perunix having 56 species, and Megascolex having 33 species. The Acan the Acanthodilidae Argiliophilus having 23 species, and Octochaetidae Utifois having 26 species, Hoplochaetela having 90 species, and Octochaetona having 15 species. So these are some families and belonging genera comprises of native species. If we talk about Indian species means native species. Native species are the Indian species. In India, there are Endrilus eugeni, Icenia fetida, Perionix excavatus, Perionix sansibaricus species are found. Exocatus and Sansibaricus are endemic species. Endemic species means the species which are only found in certain area, called endemic species. Then if we talk about South Indian species, so here some lists are given in which include Moniligasol perrier, then Dravida wilsi, Megascolis mauritii, Endrilus eugeni, Peronyx excautus, then Peronyx sansibariscus. And then if we talk about North Indian species, then Metaphyre postama, Metaphyre birmanica, Metaphyre anomala, Polyferretinia elongata, Lampito mauritii, Peronyx sansibariscus. These are native Indian species which are mainly found in India. In detail, Purines excautus, they are commonly called as an Indian blue worm because of their blue color. They are epigeic earthworm. Epigeic earthworms means they can live in a upper layer of soil. They mainly act as a decomposers and having useful importance in vermicomposting. It lives in organic waste, decomposes them. It is commercially produced earthworm, belong to North Indian species. Then they have originated from Himalayan mountains. If we talking about their body is elongated with 115 to 178 segments. Then second species of earthworm, that is Octochatona serrata. It is Indian worm which is indigenous, means they can live in a soil burrowing habitat. Occasionally they come upper layer of soil. They feed on generally organic matter and mineral soils particle. They live in the permanent burrows, build deep horizontal burrows extended up to the upper layer of the mineral soils. Then if we talk about Dravida wilsi, they are South Indian worm. The color of worms is greenish brown and it is mostly found in South India. Here is the structure is present. Prostomium means mouth and clitellum is present in bodies 14, 15, 16, 17 segment. They are mainly responsible for formation of egg case and it is found only in a earthworm which are ready to reproduce. The segment consist of setae. Then talking about exotic species, remember that native species means local species and exotic species means non-native species. Exotic earthworms species are native of foreign countries like China, Australia, New Zealand and Russia. Means these species are mainly found in China, Australia, New Zealand and Russia, and it is introduced in India because of their certain characteristics which make them to survive in any kind of environment. That's why they are known as the exotic species. We can also call as they non-native species and alien species. They have certain characteristics. So first is they have rapid growth. They have rapid growth of reproduction. If we ecologically we talk about, then they can show our selected growth curve. They feed on almost any organic matter, have wide range of feeding source. They have a wide temperature tolerance, means they have eurythermals. Eurythermals means the animals organism which can tolerate wide range of temperature. They can be easily handled. They have high reproductive rate, so they are imported from foreign countries. So basically these all are the properties of exotic species. That's why it is imported from foreign countries like China, Russia, New Zealand, and Russia to India. So here are certain species, exotic species. First is Acinia fetida, which is discovered by Savigny in 1826. It is belong to Chinese. A Chinese worms known under various common names such as red worms, compost worm, manure worm, brandling worm, tiger worm, and red wiggler worms. It is mainly adapted to feed on decaying organic matter. So they are decomposing earthworm, mainly help in process of decomposing. These worms thrive in a rotting vegetation, compost and manure. Means they are mainly useful in making manure. Manure means a organic element rich substance. We call as a them vermicompost, having useful elements like carbon, nitrogen, phosphorus, iron, zinc, which act as a fertilizers, which is economically important, sustainable product. They are mainly epigeic, live above the surface of soil, and it is cosmopolitan. We can call as a peregrine, means they are found all over the world. Then talking about Yersinia hortensis, another species of exotic worms. It is discovered by Michelson in 1890. It is an European night crawler, means it is mainly active during night time. It is widely distributed in India, North and South America, South Africa, Australia and California. The body of length is 5 centimeter. Then they are mainly pink gray in color and body showing band or stripe segment. Then the tip of the tail is often cream or pale yellow in color. So this is basically pink grayish, and at end, means at tail region, it is yellow in color. Then talking about Endrilus eugenie, another kind of exotic worms, which is discovered by Kingberg in 1876. It is widely distributed in North America, India, South America, Africa and New Zealand. It is commonly called as African night crawlers. They are larger epigeic species. They live on the soil surface. Then they mainly feed on a decaying plant matter, leaves, plant, any kind of decaying material from plant and animal parts. This earthworm body is long, slender, cylindrical and metamerically segmented, means having long segments all over the body. The fourth species is Lumbricus terrestris. It is discovered by Linnaeus in 1758. It is a large reddish worm native to Europe, but it is also found all over the world in recent period of time. It can identify by common names by dew worms, night crawlers, scrub worms. So these are four species of exotic species which is mainly useful for vermicomposting because of their good beneficial characteristics. Okay, so go through this point. Key to identify species of earthworm. So on what basis we can identify earthworms? The first criteria is presence of clitellum, which is mainly found in earthworm which is ready to reproduce, and it is mainly found in bodies 14, 15, 16 and 17 segment. Adult earthworms are easier to identify than immature earthworms. Adults have a collar-like structure called clitellum. This is near the front of their bodies. Earthworms are divided into three main groups by where they live within the soils. Okay, and earthworms are basically found in soil. On the basis of that, they can divide it into three types. First is a leaf-litter dwellers, then dwellers and deep burrowers. Leaf-litter dwellers we can call as a epigeic, dwellers endogeic, and deep burrowers means which can live deep burrowing in soil. Leaf-litter dwellers are reddish brown in color, small, usually less than 3 inches long when mature. This is basically epigeic species which is feed on dead and decaying matter and useful in vermicomposting. Then dwellers dwell 6 feet deep but feed on a fresh surface litter. Endogeic then live deep burrowers, third species, which is mainly live in the top 20 inches of soil. They are light gray and sometimes have a pink head and range in size from 1 to 5 inches. So these all three species on the basis of their living habitat in soil. First is leaf litter dwellers, second is soil dwellers, third is deep burrowers. So here certain species and their criteria to identify is given. So talking about angleworms, how we can identify angleworms. So soil dwelling, because of the characters of soil dwelling living in the top 15 to 20 inches of soil, then it is pink peach tone with well defined rise band clitellum. Clitellum is present here lower on the body than jumping worms. Okay, so this is about angleworms. Then we can talk about jumping worms. Jumping worms are surface and shallow soil dwellers. They are mainly epigeic. They can be one, one, 1.5 to 8 inches or more in length. They are similar in size to night crawlers or some of the larger angleworms, but their clitellum collar-like structure coloring are different. Means, look at here, it is shining and the part is pale color. This is mainly clitellum band. And talking about night crawler species identification, the night crawlers are deep burrowers but surface to forage for food. Means they are generally active during night. They are deep burrowing in the soil, but when they require food, they are forage to upper layer of soil. Adults can range. If we talk about adult body range, then they can 5 to 8 inches long. Night crawlers have swollen collar-like structure clitellum that is saddle shaped and does not go all the way around the worm's body. And fourth species it is red wigglers. Red wigglers are surface dwelling earthworms having 1 to 5 inches body length with a strong red brown color backside. Then fresh specimens have yellow bands in the grooves between segments. This species produces a pungent liquid when roughly handled. Pungent means a liquid which is causing irritations when we can handle these worms. So this is all about this lecture, that is identification of locus and exotic species of earthworms and the key of identification of earthworms. Thank you.